I'm Mrs. Schmidt from North Rockford Middle School, and this is part one of how to sew a fabric ball. Today in part one, we are basically gathering all of our supplies and cutting out the pieces that we will need to sew in the next part. So I'm going to start with my supplies. One thing that you're going to need is the pattern. So for my kiddos, this pattern is in the files in our platform called Schoology. If you don't have that platform and you need the pattern, I found this one just by doing a search in how to sew a fabric ball. So there it is. So for my kiddos, if you have a printer, go ahead and print off the pattern so that you have it. If you don't have a printer, you could put the piece of paper up against your computer and just trace it. And if you don't have either of those ways to do anything, the shape really is just kind of an oval with pointy ends. So you could kind of wing it. If the pattern piece was bigger, your ball would end up bigger, and you could do something smaller too if you wanted, or if you have less fabric. So that's the pattern. You're also going to need some pins. 3 pins is perfect for this whole project. That's all you'll need. I have my whole pin cushion here, so I'm ready. Another thing that you will need is a needle and thread. I keep my needle right here in my pin cushion, and I happen to have some white thread. This video is being made during the quarantine of 2020, so we're using what we have. So white thread it is. As far as fabric goes, you can use any fabric that you have. If you just happen to have some fabric sitting around the house, that's great. If not, there are many things in your house that are made out of fabric that you could cut up and sew into our project. Today, I am using a sweatshirt. This sweatshirt was in our donation pile, and I decided it would be the perfect thing to make our ball out of. So this is all that's left of it. I've cut quite a few pieces. You could use a sweatshirt, you could use a t-shirt, you could use anything that's made out of fabric, sheets or pillowcases, maybe even a shower curtain. I would not suggest a towel because it's really thick and it just might be harder to work with because it's so thick. But again, pretty much anything that is made out of fabric. Make sure you ask, don't cut things up without asking first. The next thing that we need to do is cut out our pieces. So we're going to use this pattern, and we need to have 6 pieces. So that's why my sweatshirt is already pretty cut up. So I'm going to use the hood here, and it's folded in half. That means there are 2 layers. So I'm going to take my pattern, lay it here, making sure that my fabric is flat underneath. This is where I'm going to use my 3 pins. I'm going to put 1 pin on one end. Remember, when we pin, the pin goes down through all the layers and back up through all the layers. My second pin is going to go at the other end. And then I'm going to put 1 pin directly in the center. And then I feel like my pattern piece is secure on the fabric that I can start to cut around that. When you're cutting, make sure you cut just outside the line. That way you can still see the whole line of the pattern shape. You need to cut 6 when I'm doing this because the fabric is folded over. There are 2 here. So I will only need to cut 3 times. So go ahead and cut your pieces out. Again, you need 6 pieces total, and that will get you all set for part 2.